Okay. So I'm Norman Fortenberry, and I was trying to figure out how to maybe close this because I have no slides, and I figured you wouldn't want to stare at that the whole time. On my computer, it's an F5, but I'm not sure what it is. I'll just close it. Okay. Well, there's that. I mean, and then we'll close all of them. Okay, that works. So, thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I am most grateful to the organizers for accommodating my schedule. My spouse is on travel, and so I had to do drop-off this morning, and I was lucky to get this time slot, and I have to depart early to do pickup. And it appears now my son has successfully infected me with his cold, but I don't know that I'm yet contagious. Anyway, what is ASEE doing with regard to strengthening ET programs, and how does that relate to industry? I think the first thing that we're doing is promulgating the idea, as you've apparently discussed earlier today, that we really are looking at a continuum. There are the engineering, in my language, the engineering professions, that S on the end. And you've got various labels that you associate with that, but as was made clear in the presentation by IUPUI, everyone has to work together for things to work. We all have different skill sets, but they've got to come together if we're going to produce product and get it out the door, which is what engineers are supposed to do. So this is all a continuum of people working together, some with 2-year degrees, some with 4-year degrees, some called engineering, some called engineering technology, some called other things. We've all got to work together, and we have to work with those with other labels as well if we're to be successful. So that's the frame. I was very pleased to hear of the effort that apparently was posted right before the government went into shutdown, that OPM is finally coming to a recognition that this may be the case, because we've been making an effort to be helpful in that regard as well, to make sure that all the avenues that make sense to be available are in fact available. What else are we doing? We are working to increase the visibility of ET within ASEE. Part of that is not only making sure we were supportive and encouraging of this event being held in this venue for that reason, and there are related things that are in process to enhance visibility of ET, and it's synergy with traditional E and traditional ET. We have to make sure that we recognize that it appears nationally, at least with regard to participation in ASEE, the numbers have had a declining trend, and we need to turn that around and make it an increasing trend. I think the quote is, they asked Willie Sutton why he robbed banks. He said, that's where the money is. We've got to go to where the bodies are and make sure that they're part of this community. Part of how we're doing that is working on invigorating Tau Alpha Pi. That's the 2-year ET Honor Society, or excuse me, the Honor Society for ET. And all of you here are an important resource in that effort to make sure that when people talk about the best and the brightest young people, that the young people from the ET community are well represented in those discussions. And so there are a number of avenues. Obviously, ASEE is you and your peers. Industry is part of that, and we are working to make sure that the industrial contacts that we have are aware of what's happening in this community and are more visible within it, but also that that you have connections to the community. I'm being a little bit fuzzy in my language, I understand, but a number of things are in process when I'm trying to communicate to you. is a degree of commitment, a degree of interest, and a degree of follow-through to make sure that to the maximum extent possible, we have a large tent that includes everyone who needs to be included. We are seeing, I believe, greater collaboration among the councils of ASEE. So the Engineering Technology Council is cooperating more with the Engineering Dean's Council and the Corporate Member Council in particular. And I believe that over the long term, we'll see enhanced benefits from that level of cooperation. And we are looking for and finding things that we can cooperate on collectively to move forward. And I believe that at venues such as this, over time, we will find ways to enhance the national profile, particularly, again, along the lines of the OPM activity, to enhance the profile of the ET community as we move forward. Again, some details would have been nice, I understand, but a number of things are developmental, and so it's sort of premature to talk about in detail. But I hope that you can accept that degree of fuzziness. What we need to do is to make sure that we achieve a level of sophistication in what is done so that we move above localized interests to a commitment to the larger interest of moving the community forward. That may require some compromise, something that at least in this town appears to be in short supply at the moment, but it is something that can be done and can move us forward. So having made probably one of the both shortest and possibly most confusing talks that I've given, with a lot buried with asterisks and exclamation points and footnotes, perhaps what I should do is sit down so I can answer specific questions to the best that I can, and we can have time for panel discussion. But the short story here is that ASEE as a society is committed to the advancement of the ET community and working with industry and government to make sure that that happens. Thank you.